I was watching Peter Santinello's videos about Switzerland and my hometown, Zurich.
I look at Switzerland as a place that has it together pretty well. As far as countries in the world, Switzerland's one of those places where I'm like, looks like they're doing it right in many areas of society here.
It made me a bit nostalgic. Seeing Switzerland through the eyes of Peter and the two locals made me reflect on my own experiences. I was born in Switzerland and lived there for most of my life. My family still lives there, and I still call it home, but I chose to leave. And it's been almost 3 years now since I left. Here's a list of 5 things I love about Switzerland and 5 things I did not like so much about it. Don't get your knickers in a twist. These 10 points are my personal opinion, shaped by over 30 years of living there. And when I criticize something, it does not come from a bad place. I don't expect Switzerland or the Swiss to change. If you agree, disagree, or have a story to share, please write a comment. I'd love to read your thoughts. These are in no particular order. Drinking tap water. Switzerland is in the lucky position to be the origin of several major European rivers, like the Rhine, the Rhone, and the Inn. Now that I live abroad, I miss the convenience of drinking straight from the tap. Here I rely on expensive filters or bottled water. It is a luxury I took for granted. Here's a pro tip. If you want to save money in Switzerland, drink tap water. Drinking clean, healthy, good tasting water definitely something I miss very much about Switzerland. Quietness and tranquility. The Swiss society values peace and quiet. Noise disturbances are taken seriously, especially after 10 p.m., which is Nachtruhe. While some stories about bans of showering or flushing toilets at night are myths, the expectation to respect others' peace is very real. If you're too loud, don't be surprised if the police shows up. There are 2 big exceptions that I know of: cowbells and church bells. Those can ring any time of the day and night. So unless you are a cow, shh. It just works. In Switzerland, most things just work. From garbage disposal to public transport, processes are logical and efficient. Bureaucracy is mostly streamlined. For example, getting a new passport took me 30 minutes at the office for fingerprinting and taking a picture. The passport arrived 3 days later in my mailbox. You can often do government runs completely online. Same goes for the people. Swiss are very practical and consensus oriented. Most of the time, you will find a solution with a Swiss. And did you know the train schedule of the entire country is coordinated?
Switzerland takes its integrated scheduling to an almost unbelievable level, in that essentially all public transport in the country is scheduled to synchronize and provide very convenient transfers between different services.
Cleanliness. Switzerland's streets, nature, air and water are impressively clean. It is amongst the world's cleanest places I have ever been to. You can even safely swim in rivers and lakes without worrying about pollution.
It doesn't look clean. If I were one of them, I would not be really happy of swimming here.
Environmental regulations play a big role in maintaining this standard. We will only dump chemicals into the river once it is close to either Germany or France. Safety. I'm not just talking about the fear of being stabbed or robbed. It is the trust in the legal system, trust in the government, trust in food safety, trust that my safety and well-being is a priority and cared for.
Safety is number one priority.
One of the reasons Switzerland is so safe is because prevention is very ingrained in Swiss culture, and Switzerland likes to be prepared for most events. For example,
roads, bridges, tunnels, you name it. Switzerland has TNT, explosives and bombs in any and all of the infrastructure.
In the event of an invasion, they can blow them up to slow down the enemy. Or the fact that there is a bunker space for every inhabitant. You know, just in case our neighbors think 3 times the charm.
I'm in danger!
5 things I don't like about Switzerland. The not in my backyard attitude. Switzerland's stability and wealth comes with a fierce resistance to change. While this attitude ensures well-maintained neighborhoods and preserves tradition, it also creates significant barriers to progress. In nature, cycles of destruction and growth are essential for renewal. Forest fires clear out old vegetation, making space for new life. In Switzerland, there's very little destruction, metaphorically speaking. The country's cautious approach prioritizes preservation over transformation, leaving very little room for fresh ideas and bold developments. strict and narrow-minded society. Swiss society is highly rule-oriented, and stepping outside these norms often lead to swift judgment or even legal consequences. I remember one time when I was riding on the train in the morning, there was a woman that played a short voice message on her loudspeaker on her phone.
This is Phil from the Small Wiener Club.
And even before the message finished, another passenger sternly confronted her. This level of rigidity sometimes extends beyond public behavior into personal choices. Even seemingly minor deviations can spark outrage or legal disputes. This strict adherence to rules fosters order, but can feel suffocating for those who value individuality. Even though it is an old Japanese proverb, the nail that sticks out gets hammered down, it might as well apply to Switzerland. If you live in Switzerland, you will likely experience this strictness firsthand. Sooner or later, a passive-aggressive letter will appear in your mailbox, pointing out some minor infraction. Whether it's hanging your laundry on the wrong day or parking slightly out of place, you'll be reminded that in Switzerland, these rules need to be followed strictly. High cost of living. The number one thing I hear when I tell someone I am from Switzerland is Swiss people are rich. Sorta, yes, Switzerland is rich, but Switzerland is also one of the most expensive countries in the world. So we are only comparatively rich. Rent, healthcare, and services are particularly costly, with the healthcare system ranking as the second most expensive globally, just behind the land of do not call the ambulance. Dining out is another luxury. A single meal in a Swiss restaurant would cost me as much as an entire week's worth of home-cooked meals. In fact, I'm pretty sure the only reason I learned to cook is because eating out regularly was simply unaffordable. Living in Switzerland requires careful budgeting, even for the basics. As a Swiss, you only feel rich when you are outside of Switzerland. Reserved social culture. Swiss people are known for their politeness, but they are also famously reserved. Friendships often date back to childhood, and forming new connections can be challenging, especially for newcomers. Expats in Switzerland frequently cite the difficulty of making friends as one of the main reasons for leaving the country. People tend to keep their personal lives private and rarely step outside their established social circles. The result is a culture that can feel isolating, especially if you're used to more open and spontaneous interactions. The golden cage. I'm sure you've all heard the expression golden cage, but have you ever heard it being applied to a country? Switzerland's stability and prosperity can sometimes feel like a golden prison. It's the equivalent to a high-paying corporate job that offers security but limits personal freedom and creativity. They pay you just enough and give you some perks to not make you have the urge to leave immediately, but they will also stress and annoy you just enough to make you regularly think about quitting. Maybe that was just my corporate experience. The Swiss society's obsession with economic growth and efficiency often comes at the expense of room for leisure, creativity, or human touch. For instance, Swiss citizens famously voted against more holidays. While the system ensures a high quality of life and prosperity, it can also feel overly rigid, leaving me to wonder if the trade-offs are worth it. Conclusion. Living in Switzerland is like being a cogwheel in a well-designed and smooth-running machine. Impressive, but not always fulfilling. While my complaints might seem harsh, there's always levels of granularity, and most of my complaints stem from societal norms. But these norms also create the things I love about Switzerland. And despite some drawbacks, I feel incredibly lucky to have lived there. And a lot of who I am as a person is thanks to Switzerland. I left Switzerland being fully aware that I can return to a safe and well-run country. That is a privilege I deeply value and do not take for granted. Do you have experience living in Switzerland? What do you love or hate about it? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching. As always, live a life you don't want to vacation from. See you next time.